Jackpot!
Oh, it's a little too early. It's a little too early for me today. I know it's a little too early for this guy right here, but we're here anyway. Hey, happy Sunday. Hey, Will, good of you to show up. I've had two, and it's done nothing. Well, maybe this third one will be. I don't know what it is. I went to bed at a reasonable hour. No staying up late, no craziness.
The change in like weather. It's gotten like super cool now, right? We went straight from like 20 degrees weather now to like sub 10 degrees Celsius weather. You get sleep.
Yeah. Anyone who lives in Canada knows it's very dark, and we're just having a lot of trouble getting used to it. When your alarm goes off and it's still dark 2 hours after your alarm goes off. You're like, okay.
Yeah. So like most days for work when I'm up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And like during the summertime, like the sun's just coming out, so it's kind of nice. You're like, yeah, dawn, it's great. I'm getting up. Now it's like pitch black until like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, and then I work till 7, so I come home and it's dark again. So I'm like, just it's my life now, perpetual darkness.
You're like, crap. Crap. Good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday morning. Cheers. Let's get this coffee in us.
Oh God, I broke stuff.
Mo, yeah, it was nice, Dave. Nice of Dave to fly from New York, from SNL last night, all the way here to my house just to do that intro. It's amazing that he still does it.
Such a nice guy.
He's a very nice guy. Cutthroat is here. Let loose. Hope Willie Lowe got some sleep. I'm going to say probably not. JT, good to see you. Good morning. Matt is here. Bat Stan, TJC, all the way from across the pond. BX, good to see you, dude. It's been a while. You're about to make some coffee. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we're here. We're not doing a movie review today. We were kind of toying with the idea of Five Nights at Freddy's, but both of us were just so busy this weekend. We kind of both forgot, I think. We're going to do that last night.
Stupid work.
Yeah, it's rough. Mr. Completionist, I'm good. How are you? Good to see you here. Dawn of the Dead. We're here. We're going to continue with our stroll down memory lane with EGM number 4, which is featured with ghouls and ghosts for the Genesis on the cover.
I like that cover. I don't think I've seen this cover before.
No, it's nice. Oh God. I still think we're in 89. If not, is 90. I'm not too sure. It might say on the inside cover. But the image I got this from, this is not my issue. The image, I really love the $3.95, $4.95 price tag from whatever variety store this was from. And I got to say, I remember, I think that's what I used to pay because it always would come to $5.75 with tax. I remember that for the longest time. That's how much an issue cost, which at that time I thought was, oh my God, that's a lot of money. We can look forward to. Sorry, go for it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think when I was starting to buy them, they were almost like $10 a pop.
Wow, yeah, that's quite. That must have been late 90s, 2000s.
Yeah,
something like that. We could see our game of the month is in fact Ghouls and Ghosts for the Sega Genesis. Brandon, thank you very much. $5 donation. Good to see you, buddy. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for the support, and hope you enjoy the stream this morning. It's a nice chill one. No hot stuff, no intense boss battles. Will and I are just chilling, going through the pages of our favorite magazine.
What if we are the bosses?
And we're battling ourselves. We've been fighting ourselves this whole time.
Dun, dun, dun.
The game never ends because we are the game. What? All right, let's open this baby up. Let's crack this baby up. I love the smell of this when we open it up.
Robo Warrior.
Smells so good.
Ooh, the magical bee.
This is new. Robo Warrior by Jellico. I don't think I've played this one. Jellico. I mean, not a company that I, not one of my go-tos. Not that they're around anymore, but I don't remember back in the day being like, oh, sweet. X game is coming out. It's Jellico. Oh man, I'm so looking forward to it. I don't know. Maybe you did. I didn't.
Definitely not. No, that's not a developer that brought anything to my mind.
Jellico.
What about Wayne there? Or that Wayne the Fire?
What are you talking?
In
Oh,
the
what?
top right.
I was like, what are you talking about? Wayne the
Wayne.
Lion, Lord of Air, Lion, Lord of Air.
Globula, Lord of Mobies. Globula is a great name.
Well, funny you should say that. Globulus is one of GI Joe's most hated characters. So it's funny that this is after it. I wonder if they ripped off.
Does he look the same?
No, Globulus has
Just
like a snake body.
oh,
It's
why
kind of
why would they
funny.
call him Globulus then? That doesn't make sense.
The contents of this issue. All right, the cover story is Ghouls and Ghosts, which I won't wreck anything. We'll get into it. Behind the scenes look at the Game Boy, new look at the PC Engine, the Japanese TurboGrafx, and we have top secret stuff. Pow, the war rages on. So I think we're gonna get EGM continues its how to master photo maps of SNK's latest battlefield epic Pow. Prisoners of War, which is a side scroller. Interesting. Oh, look at this. Look at this ad. Here you go. We're getting into it now,
Yeah,
boys. Here we go.
it's not Bishu, but still.
It looks like a few developers are starting to take a little bit more notice of this as of still brand new publication. And we got Capcom on board now. Need that advertising money. Mega Man 2 and Strider get get set for some radical action. Mega Man 2, yes. Strider on the NES, no.
Not very good.
Not so much. No, it's a far cry from the arcade. It's way far cry. I mean, you could argue Capcom did the best they could with the tech limitations of the NES, but Strider was pretty rough. Pretty
Yeah.
rough. I love the editorials, just the black and white text. That's it. That's all we need.
I never the insert coin logo. I maybe I'm just slow, but I didn't realize it was actually a coin going into a like a slot. I just realized that now.
It is. It's there's multiple
It's very subtle.
coins. It's
Yeah.
like a motion of clunk plucking it in.
Listen, I'm slow.
Do you want to hear an embarrassing arcade story that just came to my mind?
Of course.
I was on, I don't even want to call it a date. It was like me and my friend Darren and two girls that we were hanging out with. And it wasn't really a date because we didn't have any money. It was more like you go to the mall and hang out until the mall closes. I remember we went into the arcade in White Oaks Mall and went into my pocket to pull out some change to play some games. Oh, this is so embarrassing. And I'm going around to all the different, like they're following because they don't really want to play. Like Darren's playing his own thing. The
Yeah.
girls aren't really too interested in playing anything. They just want to kind of hang out and watch, right? So they're following me around, and I have the coin, and I'm putting it into the different games, and it's not going in. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of games out of order in this arcade. That kind of sucks. It turns out I was trying to put a loony into the slot. The loonies were new at the time, which for anyone who's not Canadian, a loonie is our dollar. It looks very much like pirate money. I was so embarrassed. I don't think they noticed at all, but I was just, yeah, that's my story. Anyway, moving on.
That's not as embarrassing as I thought it was going to be.
It's pretty embarrassing though, dude. Pretty embarrassing. Look at this guy. Everything else is just child's play.
It's
Do
so
you ever have
big.
this thing?
I never had one like growing up, but I definitely like I have one in the closet somewhere now. It just sits there.
Mine is, well, you can see it from where I am, but you can't see it from the camera. It's on a shelf by the NES Advantage. I think most gamers have this purely for just it's cool. It's the nostalgia factor. It's terrible. It never worked properly. Never, for me at least.
No.
Trying to play something like Super Mario Brothers, like having to do this, or I think it was this maybe to jump.
Yeah, you turn, or if you're playing like some of the racing games, it'd be like this is how you steer, right? or
Yeah.
like to shoot stuff, you'd like open your hand.
Yeah, and punch out, right? You're doing this, and I remember I was a kid and trying to do it with whoever had it because I also didn't have one until I was an adult collector, and just getting very tired. I think that's why. Remember when we heard about the Wii coming out, we were both kind of like intrigued, but then we
Mhm.
found out that most of the Wii games you couldn't switch off the motion control, and we were both kind of just like, "Oh man, I don't want to play Twilight Princess like this every 2 seconds, right?"
Yeah, it was cool at the beginning. Like the Wii Sports, we played so much of that at the start, but then like every game having to have that some form of waggle, like
It
I just want to sit down and play a video game, man.
it made sense for that. To Twilight Princess not having an option to turn that off was just terrible. I mean, it was great for Tiger Woods, for golf, bowling, all that stuff. It made sense, but Matt says it's not like you drop the coin, Jay, and split your pants picking it up. No, that's true. But trying to be a cool guy, right? Because you guys know, everyone knows in the chat, back then in the early 90s, and this would have been 1991 specifically, playing video games was not cool because that's what my buddies and I would do instead of like everyone was discovering beer and going to parties and stuff. My buddy and I, we stayed in and we played, like, we had our toys still and we played
Mm.
video games and we were not cool. So the fact that we got any kind of girls hanging out with us is a miracle, to be quite honest. But
It's I feel at times, depending on what you play, a lot of people still consider video games not cool and childish.
yeah, I mean, this is a great topic. Yeah, this is a great topic. That's why I
There's
love
something going off, but
going through this issue or going through these issues of these old game mags because all this stuff just comes out, man. Like it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I would agree with that because you and I, we pretty much play everything.
Mhm.
So you could argue playing Mario Wonder. It's like, it's
Huh.
great for the family, it's great for kids, but is it great for guys like us? I don't know. It's hard to say. But then you get, parents, grandparents, elderly people playing Candy Crush and playing. I remember there's elderly people playing Plants vs Zombies when that was hot, and Angry Birds.
Yeah.
So it's tough to
But
say. Are
they
you?
don't consider those games still though, right? Like a lot of the people that play stuff, so like Call of Duty, I would put a lot of people in sports games, FIFA and stuff like that. Like if you say you play something like Mario or something to them, they'd be like, "Oh, that's like, dumb. That's for kids or whatever, right?" But meanwhile, they're still playing video games. I
Yeah,
think it's like a weird like subset of like differentiating between certain genres and like what's acceptable enough. I've had this lately because like when I've met a lot of new people when we went to New York to visit family and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, what you do?" So I tell them about like my profession in healthcare and stuff like that. But
sure.
then when I go to think about saying like I play video games on the internet and people watch me, I have that hesitance of like, what are they going to think of me when I say that?
That's different. Okay. Being a streamer still has a very, I don't know what the stigma is behind it, but when I tell people that that's the main thing that I do, it's kind of like, oh no, like what do you really do? Like
Yeah.
what do you really do? It's like, no, that's what I'm doing. It's what I'm trying to do. It's what I've been working towards. And you kind of get that look. I don't know. I don't know if specific video games, if I've really had that too much lately, but you touched on it there with the streaming thing, how you kind of were hesitant to tell people. And I find like a lot of older generations, if you try and tell them, yeah, I play video games that people watch, and the first thing I get is why would somebody do that? Why would somebody want to do that? It's like, I can't explain to you why. If you were if you were to tell me as a kid in grade 8 that someday there would be these devices where we could play a video game and it wasn't just your friends watching, like people would want to watch that, and it's like it's a form
Mm.
of entertainment, I would be like, dude, this is like amazing.
But
Yeah.
do you feel that way though when you tell people about it? Like if you
Oh
mention it,
yeah. Oh
you feel
yeah.
like weird about
Yep.
mentioning it? You're like,
Yep.
how are they going to take this? Like, do I want to say anything about it? It almost feels like you want to like kind of hide it a bit, right? Be like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about it.
I won't do that because Matt has a good comment here. I say F it. If you're enjoying yourself and not hurting anyone else doing it, go for it. Same with toys.
That's
So
fair.
we both live that way, Will. What we're trying to say is like just telling strangers and stuff like that. Like, oh, so you meet somebody. It's like, what do you do for a living? Oh, you do that. Oh, how do you survive? How do you make money? It's just like
Hmm.
I'm not going to get into that stuff with them, but I still think streaming is in its infancy, even though it's been around for at least a decade, probably longer. I don't know, but yeah, there's a bit of it's not embarrassment. It's just I wish people would look at it as an actual way to make a living because it is. XQC got signed to $100 million deal.
Yeah.
Like,
That's I think
like
that's more than LeBron
it
James, I
is.
heard.
It's more than LeBron James. LeBron James, who's I don't know. I don't know much about basketball, but he's one of the greatest to ever play, and he still plays the sport, or he did play the sport, whatever. Like that's insane, man.
Hmm.
Right? Um, and again, all these guys they cut their teeth like XQC. We're not going to derail too much, but that dude streamed for 10, 12 hours, 7 days a week for
Yeah.
years before he got even picked up for Overwatch, right? So I'll cut through it. I want to clear the two girls were not with me. Um,
They
there
were Darren.
one was my girlfriend, one was Darren's girlfriend. They weren't both with me. Uh, Looking forward to Looney Quest, where Rob follows Jay around an arcade with a camera for when Jay attempted she accept. Oh, that would be fun. But last arcade I was in, dude, I think was like Palisades here, and it's just like you just pay. Oh no, is that one in Masonville where you just
Oh,
pay?
the rec room.
You just pay, yeah, and everything is unlocked already. You just pay for like an hour or whatever.
That's how the old Palladium used to be too, right?
Yeah, yeah. Jeff says, with the rise of YouTube and streaming, I find myself watching YouTube streams more and almost never watch TV anymore. 100%, dude. I started that around 2017 where I was watching XQC every day. I look forward to his streams. And the good thing about him was he was on so long that it could be almost any time of the day you could put it on. I'm with you, man. I don't have, well, I don't know if any of us have cable anymore. And I only have like one streaming service. Everything I do is on YouTube. I'd rather watch a content creator make something that's not this big elaborate production, And live streams are fun. Anyway, that was a good. We got to page 1.
Yeah.
That's good.
But
That's
I
good.
feel like that was a good conversation.
No, it's good.
This is a conversationalist podcast thing. I don't know. What do you
That's
call
what
this?
this podcast is about. It's
This is a
these
podcast?
pages inspire. I don't know what it is, man.
What's a podcast? Where am I?
We're live. This is what we do. Life on display. That's what we should call the podcast. All right, let's read some letters to the editor. This is my second favorite segment in EGM. The reviews, of course, are the shining gem of the magazine. I'll pick one, and Will, you can pick one. You can read that, okay?
Yep.
Interface problems. Wow, what a great magazine. I'd like to shake the hand of everyone who works at Electronic Gaming Monthly for all the awesome coverage and previews you guys. This is fixed. This note's fake. All the previews you guys have shared with us. I first heard about the PC Engine from your magazine last fall, and since purchased one based on your reviews. I own a Super Master System Commodore 64 PC Engine. I've been comparing your pictures of the TurboGrafx 16 to my NEC, and the card slot looks familiar. I was just wondering if the PC Engine and the TurboGrafx games will be compatible. I'm not trying to make fun of Ed Malin here, because we live in the future and we know that back then the Japanese systems would often look different, and I can almost guarantee that it will not play the turbo games. But let's see what the reply is. Sorry, Ed, but your PC Engine investment won't pay off on the turbo. The pin configuration on both machines is different, so Japanese software won't work on the new NEC machine.
Shame. Damn shame.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is like that was definitely a thing back then, but I think it's something we've taken for granted now because like that's not a thing now, right? Like they don't have you have your region coding, but it's not none of the systems now are region locked, right?
No, because I mean, I think companies finally learned that hey, making more money is cool. So like if we have games that are just published in Japan, why shouldn't we be able to buy them?
Mhm.
That I showed you a pic of that Phoenix Wright collection I got. That's Japanese, but they put the English subtitles in it, or the English translation in it. So I think you're seeing a lot more of that because there is no region lock. I think it's great. Why limit it, right? You know what I mean? Excuse me.
No, I 100% agree.
Scott, good afternoon, my friend. Excuse me, guys. Jeez.
Right?
Matt says almost everything is digital, anyways. Easier for them to just put region-free digital version. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Mhm.
You want to pick one there, buddy?
Case of mistaken identity. I thought your article on the 16-bit systems was awesome. I have a question about the TurboGrafx 16 machine. You said it used cards similar to the Sega Master System cards. Since they're close to being identical, could you play the Sega cards on the TurboGrafx or vice versa?
No, Master System had Hue cards and cartridges. Their system took two different. Like you could buy
Huh.
Ghost House was a game that I think was a cartridge and a card. I don't know what the difference is though, but they had two of the same.
Really? I've never seen cards for that. I've only just seen the
Yeah.
cartridges.
Not for every game, but some of them had
Huh.
cards. Yeah.
Interesting.
Anybody in the chat know why that is? Why the Master System? I'm assuming it's data. Maybe Matt or Brandon might know
Hmm.
why there
Yeah, I've
was
never.
cartridges for the Master System and then cards. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because I've only ever seen the carts, right? The black carts with the naming on it, right? Like the
Yeah.
red and checkered
Yeah.
labels. Yeah, I've never seen that for that's weird. Huh. I want to look that up now. Anyways, reply, while they appear the same, the Sega Master System and the TurboGrafx are about as different as Mario Brothers 1 and 2. Huh. It's a weird comparison. The cards
Huh.
used to be the PC Engine, TurboGrafx, and new Atari handheld are essentially the same as the cartridges used in the NES and other popular gaming machines. Instead of using the entire chip to hold the game, the cards are used in the area of the chip that contains the memory. That's a long
Uh,
winded way to just say no.
Rocks, thanks for chiming in from Twitch there. Not Hue cards on Sega, they're called Sega cards. And Rock says cards were first in the Nordics, much cheaper to market than NES games. Thanks
Oh,
for chiming in,
neat.
mate. Very interesting. I didn't know that. Cool. Huh. This turbo
Learn
heavy
something
issue.
new every day.
I'll do another quick one here. Disagrees with Dawn. Uh-oh, we got a review dispute here. You probably won't print this, but I hope that you do, you son of a. In issue number 2, I think that Reggie Jackson baseball was misjudged.
Was it?
Not only does it deserve a 10, but it's very fun to play. And the opposite of what Don said. I played all the baseball games for the Nintendo, and I feel that Reggie Jackson baseball has better graphics and are realistic and more exciting.
But he's really into
Hey, I
that
like
game.
that. Apparently, your comments. What? Oh, we appreciate your comments. Oh, anonymous. He's the first. This is the guy who invented internet trolling, by the way. And
Oh, this is where it started. The
this is the
origins.
internet troll himself, and he still is to this day anonymous. We appreciate your comments, Mr. Anonymous. The main reason for our multiple player review format is to give you the ability to read the options of several gamers who each have different likes and dislikes. There's nothing wrong with the fact that you like Reggie Jackson baseball more than Don. Generally, the entire review crew gave it shining ratings after were above average. Your praise of the game shows that great gamers think alike. Seriously, when only one reviewer looks at a game, you might enjoy gameplay that has little appeal to anyone else, or vice versa. By having 4 players who know the games inside and out and review each title, you know you're getting an honest, unbiased appraisal of the game, and that you won't be bummed after you put it down. You're 40 to 50 bucks. That's funny. 40 to 50 bucks. I mean, prices haven't really changed that much for video games if you really think about it.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing right now, right? Because they are thinking about increasing the value of video games, and a lot of people are complaining. But like, really, like, I remember buying 64 games at like 60, 70 bucks Canadian back in the day, which isn't that far off from like what we're doing now.
Oh, uh, yes, Rox. Yeah, most of us are on the old tube here. Yeah. I appreciate you hanging out on Twitch, buddy. Thanks for hanging out. Rox also says Sega, or the importer, was literally 3 guys who drove around and demoed to toy stores in Norway and Sweden. NES was already on the shelves.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
the Master System does not get the credit that it deserves. And again, it was like the beta to VHS, right? It was a more powerful system, but
Yeah, that's one system I definitely miss playing. Like I have one, and I've only played like maybe a handful of games on it.
What,
But
the Master?
Mhm. Yeah, it was one I never growing up. Like no one I knew had one. Everybody at that point was moved on to like NES, Super NES, or the Genesis, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, Rocks. Twitch has allowed multi-streaming now. So I mainly stream on YouTube, but I stream on Twitch too. So I have love for both platforms. Here's our old friend Bad Dudes. Bad Dudes we kind of made fun of. Not the greatest. Let's skip this ad.
let me see that card.
Oh, look
Ooh.
at these reviews. Look at these reviews. Oh, buddy, we got Steve, Ed. Who is Mr. Nasty? Was that Ed? Yeah, I think it was Ed, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Don and Jim. Don is still around despite that hated letter to the editor. We got some great reviews. Ninja Turtles by Konami. Bad Dudes by Data East. So Steve, we'll read mostly Steve and Ed's. Steve is the head honcho at Electronic Gaming Monthly. He's been concentrating as of late on several new shoot 'em ups, such as Thunder Force 2 on the Genesis and Twin Cobra from American Sammy. Several of the new Lynx shooters are also in the process of being mastered.
Hmm.
See, it was little write-ups like this on each reviewer that I used to just, dude, these guys were like rock stars to me.
Yeah, it
I
kind of gives
lo-
you like a little look into their lives, and you kind of relate more to them, right?
yes, I loved knowing, like, I pictured like our setup now that we have, right? That all streamers have. I pictured that as their work desk, which it probably was. And I'm like, oh man, like Johnny Arcade, right? All
Mm.
these TVs, every game system. And I pictured, like, instead of getting file folders dropped on their desk, and they had to do all that kind of desk work and be like, oh, here's like Thunder Force 2 and POW and all these games you have to review. I dreamed and fantasized of that. So to get little glimpses into what they were playing, it was something that it was completely pioneered by EGM, and it was completely brand new. And just reading this again, man, just getting into their heads and stuff like that is just magic. You want to read Ed's?
Yeah. All right. Ed still loves, because we know Ed hates stuff,
Ed hates everything. Yeah.
the Sega Master System, although a lack of new titles has him somewhat discouraged. See? Oh, he loves it, and now he's discouraged. Man, just flippy floppy. New favorites include Dead Angle and Scramble Spirits. I have heard about neither of those. Oh, yes, don't listen to what other people say. He loves game maps. Who doesn't love game maps?
I think it's probably a inside joke around the office. I don't know. See that 4 on TMNT? They didn't get past the damn level, Matt says.
Having recently played TMNT in that collection that recently came out, like, was it this year it came out? I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was a while ago. Time is
I think
a
it
construct.
was I got it November last year, I think, but I think it was last
Yeah.
year it came
It
out.
was like late, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, that game, it's not good.
It's not good.
I love it as a kid, but man, I don't.
Okay, so
To me, it doesn't hold up well.
I never liked it. And I remember feeling really weird about that because Turtles were so hot. And this would have been the year the movie came out around this time. So you had the toy line, which was awesome and huge by Playmates. You had the live action movie, the cartoon, and the video game by Ultra, which is a division of Konami.
Yeah.
And the graphics were incredible. They're still really great in this game. The cover art was from one of the comic books, but it looked so badass. I hated this game. I can't stand it. It doesn't even play well.
No.
It's got this weird floaty mechanic to it. And why would you ever want anyone besides Donatello?
Yeah. No, you're right. Donatello or Leo. Leo's the katanas get some good reach,
Sure.
but Donatello is the best character. Once you lose both those characters, you might as well just shut it off and restart.
Everyone either starts with Raph to have him die first, or you end with Raph, right? But yeah, there's something about this game. Okay, let's read. I'll read Steve, and you can read Ed on this one. So Steve gives it a 6. This is out of 10. So we got 6, 7, 6, and a 4 from Jim. Jimmy really didn't like it. Woo!
Jimmy the new hater.
We might have to read all these, actually. They're not that big. So Steve says, TMNT is a decent game that has some adequate action sequences that get bogged down by the adventure aspect in play. So he didn't like the 3/4 top down stuff, the map screen. Can't blame him on that one.
Yeah,
Nothing about
that's that whole top down map scene. Like, it doesn't seem necessary. You could have just had a stage select and be like, all right, just go to the next one.
or don't let the player be killed on the map screen. Like by those the tanks kill you in one hit. It's just like, let me explore the map screen, or at least have some kind of, I don't even want to say stealth. Well, Metal Gear was out, so sure, we can have a stealth mechanic.
Yeah.
But like, don't let me die on the map screen. Nothing about the game is revolutionary, but it does possess some nice qualities and familiar characters.
Let's see. The name says it all. Combine trendy characters with a fun to play game, and you get an instant hit. With the party wagon for wheels and pizza to eat, we need who needs anything more? One of the best games this fall. Ed,
He's hard. Ed's hard, man. Like, he loves it, and he still give it a 7. That's 3 points.
But like, he doesn't really list like anything why it's he likes it, right? Like,
well, trendy.
I'm calling
characters fun to play.
But is that really telling anything about the game?
No. Why is it fun? Why is it fun to play?
Yeah. Why is he like it? What elements does he enjoy? Ed, I'm calling you out. I know you watch.
You better be careful. Ed started Twitter.
Oh shit.
He's got some power, dude. I'm just telling you right now. Duke, sir, how you doing today? It surprises me to see such low review scores in a game magazine. EGM, I can't speak for much of them in the 2000s, although I still read it. But back then, man, what do you got to lose, right? In fact, as we see, because we've started at issue 1, it's just more and more and more game companies getting on board and pouring in their advertising dollars into the magazine, right? So you could tell very, very clearly here that, Konami made Turtles. That's great. We don't care. If it's not good, it's not good. And this would have been a time, you got to remember, this would have been as big as like the 89 Batman in terms of merchandise and just craziness. So if you could take yourself back to that time, coming out of that theater, seeing Michael Keaton's Batman, and you're like, it was okay. Nobody said that. Everyone was in love with that, right? So it's the same thing with Turtles here. So if they can actually give it a 6 and a 4, I praise them for not being blinded by the hype, right?
100%. I would like say that today. Like it's hard to tell like what is a genuine review of things.
Rock says, I bet he didn't play it much. Yeah, Matt said that earlier. Probably didn't get past the dam level, which I don't think that level's hard, but it's a swimming mechanic in Mario. It's like Joust, right? There's way harder parts to Turtles than that dam level, right? That's the
Yeah,
level that just kind of takes away all your health, right? But it's not
but
that bad.
I think the dam level is like the first roadblock for a lot of people, and it's kind of like the Souls games where a lot of people get to a point, and then when they can't really press further or want to like really grind it out, then they're just like, yeah, F it, they move on.
Ghetto Finger Gaming, good morning, brother. What's going on? Morning, dude. Matt says Jim gave 0 Fs though. Both Turtles and Bad Dudes got the same score.
Mm.
Don says TMNT wasn't only impressive. Oh, sorry. TMNT wasn't overly impressive. I thought it would be much better considering all the hype that it received. The gameplay is there and the graphics are nice. Gameplay is not there. The graphics are nice, but the whole cart didn't meet my expectations. It is good, but I was expecting more. Yeah.
I like that. See,
And we got it.
he kind
We
of gave
got
a
it.
bit more into it than what Ed did. Still calling you out, Ed.
Yeah. You want to read Jim? We're not going to read all of them. Just like I think for a
Yeah.
big game like this, we'll read it.
Okay, Hater Jim. The controls in TMNT are too jerky, and it quickly becomes difficult to control your characters. The scrolling also hinders the game by placing you in vulnerable positions. The
True.
intermissions are cool, but the rest of the card is a disappointment. Not a true Konami game. You know what, Jim? I kind of agree with you.
Intermissions. I love it. Brandon says Turtles was good. Bad Dudes was good. You just have to love the genre. That's fair, buddy. JT, what does that mean? How old do you think these? Oh, people were doing the reviews. I would say
Mid
late
20s?
20s, early 30s. I know Steve and
Okay.
Ed were a little older. I'm just guessing. Bad Dudes.
We just do Steve and Ed for these
Steve.
ones?
Pardon me? Sorry.
So we just do Steve and Ed for these ones?
Yeah, unless it's a super, super big game. So Steve gave it a 6. Bad Dudes has most of the elements found in the arcade version, but there's something about the moves of the characters that is faulty. The graphics are detailed, but animated in a jerky fashion. So there's frame rate issues. That before there was terminologies like that. Isn't that crazy? Like they say intermissions in that one you read instead of cinematics. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're still figuring
Anyway,
it out.
the graphics are detailed, but animated in a jerky fashion. The play remains decent. The 2-player combo option is missed. It should please most action fans. Yeah, I'd have Bad Dudes without 2 players. I forgot about that.
Yeah, like
Brutal.
how do you call it bad dudes and only have it like one, like a single player?
Same reason that you bring out Double Dragon and have it single player, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
limitations, I suppose, the hardware.
I guess. But they got it working in the second one.
Yeah, they fixed it. Yeah, and that number 2 is so much better. Brandon says, I am unapologetic Game G Hewer. I don't care. I play games to enjoy, not to get mad and ruin my day. It's not cheating. It's using resources. You've said that before. I remember you saying that on a stream before, buddy. And I'm with you. Will and I go back and forth. We poke each other a bit because Will tells me to get good when I'm playing stuff on easy and stuff like that. But I agree with you. I play just to get through the game. I don't need to prove anything, unlike Willie, whose controller is a little bit smaller than mine. So he's got a little bit more to prove, if you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
Easy now.
Saying? Yeah.
My
Just
controller is fine. It's a perfect size. Right?
yeah, yours is good, but mine is bigger.
Damn it!
I heard that. All jokes aside, though, yeah, I agree, man. Play the game however you want to play. Most of the live streams I say play through, but we don't often finish the game, right? We just play through bits of it and then just kind of move on. So it's all what you get out of it. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, and
Rock
like those
Rock
settings
says
are there for a reason.
I wish I cheated more back then instead of just walking away from games. Okay, sorry, Will, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like the easy options there for a reason, right? And even like games today, like I was showing you the setting for Spider-Man. Like there's a lot of
Yeah,
accessibility stuff that are being added in modern games that
yeah.
just make it easier and more approachable for people to play. Right. And that's what we should be focusing on, right? Everybody getting the ability to enjoy the experience in their own way.
Something like Spider-Man very much is an experience. Alan Wake has the same kind of options where the easy mode, it's not called easy, I forget what it's called. That in Spider-Man, easy, and then it has an exclamation of basically if you want to enjoy the story, it's not super combat heavy or punishing.
Yeah.
I like that because it makes you feel like, yeah, I want to get through the story of Alan Wake, but I don't want to get stopped on the tornado boss because I don't know. For me, I don't care about that stuff anymore. I got nothing to prove, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun to have a challenge for sure, but got to throw it on easy. Got to throw it on easy. It's the way she goes. Plus, my
100%
reflexes,
acceptable.
they're like a slug now, man. Like, come on. Let's
I feel
face it.
that.
Do you want to read Ed's Bad Dudes?
Yep. Another Double Dragon clone. While the game is challenging, it is hampered with a not so smooth, jerky player
Another
movement.
jerk.
Is he the one who said jerky earlier? No. Who else said?
Uh,
Oh, Jim said it.
oh, Jimmy.
Jerky player movement, which gets annoying after a while and detracts from the overall gameplay. Nothing special, just another average action game.
Brandon
Ed knows
says,
the
Willie,
part.
you got to keep that controller out of the cold, man.
Listen, it's a grower, not a shower. Okay.
Ghetto says in the 90s, I used BBS out of New York. What is that? Why am I blanking on that? Out of New York that
Yes.
provided all kinds of cheat codes.
Is that booklet thing we were talking about? Is that cheat code thing we saw earlier?
Yeah, Ghetto, if you want to type that out, I can't remember the BBS. I can't remember what that stands for. Okay, moving on. Sky Shark, Defender of the Crown, and Strider. Stanley, what's up? Old modern dial up. Okay. I don't think I've heard that term.
Bulletin board system. Huh.
Oh my god. Yes. Dude, you've just accessed a part of my brain that literally hasn't been accessed since 1994. Bulletin board system. Do you know what that is, Will?
No, I've never heard of that.
You're a tad younger than me. Yeah, that's dude, that was like it wasn't even like on a web page. I don't even know what that was. Bulletin board system. Rocks knows. There you go. Pre-web content via modem.
Huh.
Wow. Bulletin board server Scott knows. See, I was ever a computer guy, right? So I know a couple of my neighbors were all over. I remember him going on the Star Wars BBSs. Now I remember. Jesus, wow. Thanks, guys. What a trip. Sky Shark. Did you ever play Sky Shark?
I haven't, no.
Taito.
I think we talked about this before.
Top-down shooter. It looks like. I'll read Steve and you read Ed. So we'll just do the top two. Above average 6. Sky Shark is some great scrolling backgrounds and impressive enemies. There's not a lot here. You get a common assortment of weapons, power-ups, bombs, and bosses, but it is a solid shooter with nice visuals. A bit repetitive and higher rounds. But as a shooter fan, I loved it. Hey, good job, Steve. I like that review.
This is
Makes
definitely
me
like
wanna play it.
the transition, right? Like between like old school arcade games where it was based on points and getting cleared through boards and stuff, and
Yep.
then starting to develop like the story more oriented stuff. So their terminology is like they don't know where to put certain things.
Yeah. So cool. And you know, we're kind of poking fun here, but it's so nice to see, to go back at the beginning of all this,
Hmm.
and there's no terminology. The terminology first person shooter did not even exist back then. Like, think about stuff like that. That's crazy. But that BBS blew me away. Wow. I haven't thought about that forever. Okay. Ed.
Let's see what Eddie says. Sky Shark has great background detail with little screen flicker. Even with these positive features, it's just another 1943 type flying and shooting game. Nothing extraordinary, but a solid, well playing game nonetheless.
We can accept that. That's pretty good. Ed, you weren't too negative. That's okay. Hey Phil, how you doing?
Wait till he gets to Defender of the Crown.
That's Nami. Yes, it is. Phil. Phil says this was a great issue during a great period of gaming. Specifically, remember this one. Oh, dude, I can't wait to get to this one. I think I've showed this one last time. This is issue 8 with the best cover of all time. Even
Yeah,
issue
that one's good.
12 has Ninja Gaiden 2 on it. Yeah, I can't wait to get to those. But I'm glad you remember it. You have fond memories of it. That's awesome. That's what we're doing this for.
Back down memory lane.
Defender of the Crown is by Konami / Ultra. Defender of the Crown by Steve. He says, 4, this was an interesting computer game that successfully paired beginner level war gaming with some of the most vivid graphics around, which was true at the time. The NES version, however, lacks the sharp visuals of the original, and what we end up with is a slow moving cart that will appeal to die-hard war gamers only. So I think it's some kind of strategy game. I think. Um, I remember seeing it in the issues of EGM and Game Pro, and they wouldn't show screens like this. They would show some of the other screens where the sprites were huge, and of course, you thought that that was what the actual gameplay was going to be, which was probably just the title screen, right?
Yeah. Sounds like it's more like a strategy type game. They try to convert from.
I think it's, yeah, it's like strategy. I think anyone played Defender of the Crown that could maybe clarify. I think it's maybe like chess, and when you two pieces get on the same square, you go into a mode like this, which is a primitive like one-on-one fighter. I
Mm.
think.
It reminds me of a game called. It was on the PlayStation 2 called Kessen.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you have like the armies moving and stuff, and then when you get like they get close, then you actually go into like a Dynasty Warriors type like fight system. I thought that I don't know, I like that game. I don't think many people remember that one, but man, I love
That
that series.
was close to a launch title. I remember Kessen. That was one
Yeah.
of the first games out on PS2. Ghetto says, Jay, look up Nintendo Dream Magazine. Okay. I don't know if I've heard of that one.
Well, you're looking that up. I'll do what Hater Ed wants to think about this. A new type of game that combines the board style war games with a few action sequences. It's slow, dull, and boring, and will appeal only to the war simulation crowd. Not nearly as detailed in both terms of graphics and play as the original versions. Not for the average NES player.
Fair. I think Defender of the Crown was on the Amiga or something like TJC's in the chat. TJ, do you remember Defender of the Crown? TJ was into all the old vintage computers, 80s and 90s. Defender of the Crown, do you remember what it was on originally? It's okay to have it. Not my favorite game on the NES. Ghetto Finger says, okay, we're moving on to Strider. Strider is my all-time favorite Sega Genesis game based on the hit arcade game that looks nothing like this. Capcom did this a lot, reminding me of the PS3, 360 Wii era, where PS3 and 360 would get whatever, Star Wars Force Unleashed, and then the Wii would get it, but it would be like a dumbed down, completely different version than the other two, what I called big boy consoles. Capcom did that a lot with the NES, and Strider, it's almost in name only. It plays a little bit like it, but it's a lot smaller. Levels are completely different. I don't know if this is a prequel or a sequel to the arcade game, but it's definitely different. Good morning, Samantha. How you doing? Scott says it's like Risk cutscenes, and it was the Amiga. I guessed right, and believe me, it was just a guess. That was 100% just a guess there. Okay, let's see what Steve says. 7 for Strider. Strider offers plenty to interact with, lots of weapons and implements to find, and an expansive adventure that will keep you occupied for some time. The graphics are above average and help complement the rest of the game. Capcom's second hit of the season, behind Mega Man 2. There you go. There you go. 7. I mean, that's all right. I think that's a little too high for this, but
Well, Ed apparently loves it.
you know, hipster.
Capcom's games follow a similar pattern. Whether it's Bionic Commando or Mega Man 2, the games are similar. Strider is good and, like Bionic Commando, has a variety of stages to conquer. Definitely not your average action game. Strider is a cut above the rest. Ed was positive there. You like Strider?
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. My daughter Izzy says hi. Hello. Good morning. You guys are watching two old guys talk about old timey times.
Back in our day,
What's
there's
this? A
video
print
games.
magazine? What is this?
Well, a lot of
Spellcaster Master System, I'm gonna guess. Yeah, because Mystic Defender for Genesis was the sequel to this one. Then we got Victory Run and Dungeon Explorer. So we got some two turbo games here. This is good. Okay, Spellcaster. So Steve says Spellcaster is Sega's Simon's Quest. It's not a controversial RPG, but it does have. Oh, sorry. It's not a conventional RPG, but it does have some of the best action adventure features to appear on the Master System game. Full screen texts are also incorporated into the gameplay, and they move it along. A good addition to the Sega library. I mean, so far, none of these games have blown away the crew. And I gotta say, I do really appreciate the honesty. This is maybe a time before there was any kind of sponsorships, because video games, the whole culture of video games in general, was brand new. So I don't think there was a lot of, I'll pay you to review, my Call of Duty game if you give it a 9 out of 10 kind of thing. I don't think that thing really existed back then, but you never know. Did you ever play Rocket Ranger? No. TJ, I remember the Rocketeer game for the Amiga made me want an Amiga.
Isn't
My
that
buddy,
like the?
what's the Disney movie, the Rocketeer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the Amiga had a version, like a video game, and it looked so incredible. And I remember my buddy had an Amiga, and he brought the whatever computer publication, and it was just pictures of Rocketeer, and I was like, oh my god, like Nintendo can't do that, Genesis can't do that. So it made me want a PC. Is Amiga a PC? I don't even know. Computer. So Spellcaster, Ed gives it a 6.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought about something. Anyways, Spellcaster is a disappointment.
Wow.
The name implies an RPG, and it isn't. It definitely is not Phantasy Star sequel. That's a big thing to put it up against, Phantasy Star. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not nice.
Except for the Pyramid Maze, Spellcaster is just a straightforward adventure game with great graphics and a long quest. Spellcaster will have to do, however, until Ultima 4 comes. I feel like that's a huge insult. Like, oh, I guess I'll play this until like something better comes out.
Yeah. I think Sega made this. I'm trying to look. That's one thing that does bug me. Unless they put it in their text, there isn't a stat spot for the company that actually makes the game. I believe
Yeah, they should have. I think they should just put like a dash right after the name and be like, oh, this is the developer. So like be like Konami or Capcom or whatever, right?
Yeah. Ghetto says, though Spellcaster is one of the better remembered Master System games, few knew it at the time of its release, and that original Japanese version was a licensed title based on Kujaku O. Interesting.
Hmm.
And it's funny you say that, Ghetto, because I didn't go back and play this until I played Mystic Defender, which was the sequel on Genesis. And I remember somewhere in some magazine, somebody had said that Spellcaster was the one before. And I was like, oh, I want to check it out. I really dug Mystic Defender, which was even more actiony than this. Victory Run is Outrun and Rad Racer clone. So this is basically the TurboGrafx version of that.
So for this one, had like a cool upgrade system.
Did it? I don't remember. I do not remember.
Yeah, you could have like upgrades to your car and stuff. There's also like a whole RPG system in this game.
Victory Run, really?
Mhm. I'm
Wow.
pretty sure it's this one. I could be mixing up the two. There's another
Steve
one
gave
too.
it a 6. So again, I mean, nobody's really killing it. Nobody's really killing it with reviews. And again, I just said it a couple times now. I'm going to say it again. I like that they're being completely honest. And even back then, they seem to have some pretty high standards. Steve says Victory Run is not overly impressive in terms of graphics realism, but it does introduce some nice features into the standard racing theme. Wearing down your car and fixing it up. There you go. Helps to bring strategic elements into play. The car handles slow in some areas, but it's a good driver regardless. Oh, thanks, TJ.
I brought in a prop for this one.
Okay, hang on. Let me make it
Know that?
big.
See, I got a copy right here, inbox and everything.
Ooh,
You can see it real close here. I paid $7, a whole
dude.
$7 for this.
And that sticker looks familiar. I'm trying to place it.
See, I like these
Yeah,
logos. I love the turbo. I don't know,
so
something
good,
about
man.
it.
Dude, it's so good. Like for real, it was so underrated. And it's just a shame that the marketing of the system itself was so terrible.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
it
terrible.
just flopped over here in North America.
Yeah, to put it in only selected retailers is like the biggest mistake. Clearly,
Mm.
there's a different time, right? But no, we're only going to put it in like in Canada. We'll put it in Radio Shack. Turbo
Old
is
Radio Shack.
fantastic. Dungeon Explorer is a top-down gauntlet style game. It's a little more RPG-ish. Sevens across the board. Sevens across the board.
Everybody liked it. I feel like a seven's a good score. Like it's a good
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Considering five's like mid-tier, seven's pretty dang good. 70%. Dungeon Explorer is a perfect hybrid of action adventure. The game essentially plays like Gauntlet, but text and adventure screens are thrown in to fit the theme perfectly. Outstanding graphics help complement this card and guarantee a long quest and plenty of thrills.
Mm. Dungeon Explorer is filled with mazes that seem to go on forever. Match the best features of the classic Gauntlet with the advanced graphics of the TurboGrafx 16, and you get a better than average action adventure title. Some text and subplots help elevate the attractions of DE even more.
Yeah, I
Still
had this
pretty
game
positive.
at one time. I remember I didn't get into it too badly. Um, yeah, I would give this a 7 too. It's a pretty good game.
Hmm.
Duke Sir says, I think I saw the TurboGrafx in 1989 at the Bay. Perhaps, my friend.
How do you even
I,
remember when you saw it?
I remember it in CompuCenter, which was a video game. It was like basically like Babbage's in the States, but it was a Canadian version. The companies weren't connected, but it was the same kind where you would go into the store and it was very heavy on computers. Well, I mean, even Electronics Boutique was very heavy on computer games and
Yeah.
computer hardware at
I
first.
totally
So
forgot about CompuCenter because there used to be one in Masonville Mall I used to go to all the time.
it was right where the food court
Food
is.
court is. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I bought
Bottom corner.
my PC copy of Final Fantasy VII there.
Dude, do you still have that?
No. Unfortunately, I lent it off to someone and I never saw it again.
The old lend off. The old lend off. And that's where I saw in CompuCenter, that's where I saw the TurboGrafx CD on the top shelf, what we call in retail as the uppers. Whereas, you can't get to them as a customer. The box was 2 feet tall, man. It was way too big. But this thing was amazing. Anyway, Last Battle. Last Battle, man. Last Battle is one of these games for the Genesis that was a launch title. And it showed off and showcased the graphics and sound very well. But it wasn't really any different from Kung Fu. Essentially, it was like Kung Fu with bigger sprites, anime style graphics. I
Should
wanted
be
to
like
like
up
them a
your
lot more.
alley. You just love the big sprites.
It was I wanted to like it so much more than I did, and it was really hard. It got really difficult near the end. Steve says 6. Last Battle reminds me of a souped up version of Altered Beast. The characters are same size as Altered Beast and move at the same speed as Altered Beast, which is a crawl. The backgrounds also scroll in the same fashion as Altered Beast. There are boss characters, maps, and more detailed graphics. The game wasn't that exciting. Steve, come on, buddy. Perk up.
I think Steve's becoming the hater in this one. Ed seems to be loving everything.
Well, you got scolded last issue, probably.
Loving it, Ed. Thinks that Last Battle is a 7. Take an average Kung Fu game, but change the player's size from a 3-inch stick figure to half the height of this TV screen, and you have a whole new type of game.
But not really.
Throw in 16-bit graphics and a multi-layered background, and you have a game that goes from average to excellent.
See, Ed's a graphics guy. It's all about the graphics because
Yeah,
there's
he's like
no
you,
difference.
just the big pixels.
No.
Love them big pixels.
There's no different. I'm a big controller, man. Give me the Duke, the Xbox Duke. Give me that some bitch. I'll play that all day. Yeah, I would give Last Battle's mid at best. I would give it a 5. Jim gave it a 5. He's not having it, at least until Thunder Force 2. Is that what he says? Is Jim's stunning graphics. Just can't save this karate game. The characters look awesome and the backgrounds are very detailed, but the game itself is just your normal Kung Fu Master spin-off. There are text and map scenes, but they don't add a whole lot to the game itself. Yeah, he's not having it.
Jim seems to be just overall like very low on the scores this issue.
Tommy Lasorda baseball. Tommy Lee. I meant Tommy Lasorda. There's no Lee in there.
Were you watching some kind of videos lately?
The drummer of Motley Crue at one time used to manage the LA Dodgers. Tommy Lee, Jesus. Tommy Lasorda was a very famous baseball manager. And at the time, he was known for his hot temper, his explosive temper, rushing the mound, rushing the umpires. This was really cool because this is the time when I kind of started to show a little bit of interest in sports, which would have been like 88, 89. And these games made me like the sports more. So I liked that they had what I called a hero character, which is essentially just an endorsement character or endorsement athlete. So Tommy Lasorda would have been this. This was way before the entire league was the norm, right? So you'd have these celebrity characters like Joe Montana and Arnold Palmer, and they would showcase, and their face would sell the game. I don't really have any special memories with Tommy Lee baseball, but it's pretty cool. And like everyone seems to like it. 8877. I'm betting they're going to say that the sprites make all the difference because if you look at the NES baseball and then you compare it to this, dude, it's like this would have felt like you had an arcade in your house.
I love the little chibi like characters in like the NES baseball games, though.
Sure, we can say that now, but back then, like if you would have had a difference to play 2600 baseball with the guy this big, or like a 75-inch like Tommy Lee. Wait a minute, what am I saying? Okay, let's get to Steve. Tommy Lasorda Baseball is without a doubt the best baseball game I've ever played. The graphics are excellent. The sound effects first class in the whole game. Very enjoyable to play. The season play and password feature are welcome to add life to a game that is nearly perfect already. Well, Steve, wouldn't a near perfect be a 9? Just
Yeah, 8
saying.
seems kind of low for a near perfect game.
Just saying.
You hit the ball, you catch the ball.
Before we get to Willie here, Mo would say Tommy Lee game. Now that's something I would play. There you go.
Yeah, he'd be hitting the baseballs with a member.
Oh my god.
There's that. I've been curious of watching that like Disney show. Have you seen that?
Pamela has gone on record to say that's like nothing like what happened. I won't watch it because it's just
over TV eyes. What do you got? Like
over sensationalizing it.
Yeah, there's it.
Yeah, over sensationalizing their life and that whole period of time in their life. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but
let's see. Ed, with new capabilities of the 16-bit machines, baseball has come one step closer to reality.
Yeah.
TLB is the best on the market. Players with strengths and weaknesses, and the my screen got fuzzy.
You got it?
Players with strengths and weaknesses, and the player better screen is the best round. What the hell?
The new standard to which all future baseball games will be compared. What happened?
I don't know. It's like the feed on my end. Hold on. Give it a sec.
Do you have the BBS internet? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that's probably it. It's just like everything went fuzzy. You went fuzzy, the background and everything. Like it went down to like 180p or whatever.
You dropped, yeah. Okay, so we'll continue.
My eyes.
Thunder Force 2 is a top-down shooter, very popular at the time. So 8878. So I'm going to give it to Steve. See, I preferred Thunder Force 3, which was strictly a side scroller, but they made this one top down. Thunder Force 2 is one of the better shooters to come around in a long time. The benefits of the 16-bit graphics and sound are obvious, and the round structure gives it 2 games in 1. Oh yeah, this was side and top down. That's right. The overhead sequence is not as strong as the side scenes, but the whole package is definitely top notch.
Let's see. Ed says you haven't seen great graphics until you've seen Thunder Force 2. Easily the best visuals in a shoot 'em up with both horizontal and vertical fighting sequences. The game has more than enough variety. Action is intense and nonstop. Another example of how much better a 16-bit cart can be. Huh.
It's not bad. I mean, it makes me want to play through these again. I remember, again, these are all launch titles for Genesis. I wanted them all just because it was the leap from 8-bit to 16-bit. To me, in my mind back then, was almost as significant as 16 to 32, which, of course, that was the most significant when you went from sprites to polygons.
Yeah.
The drummer from Nirvana makes your coffee, and the drummer from Motley Crue plays baseball. That's the show. I mean, that's the show, man. All right, good reviews. That was a really great review part of the issue.
Next wave,
we have Twin Eagle, Romstar, Capcom's Willow, which was a Zelda clone. Do you ever play
I remember
Willow?
liking that.
Yeah. Willow, I never got into it. You remember. Who remembers the Willow arcade game?
I only remember it because you showed it to me.
Dude, that game is sick. It's so good. And I don't think, it ever came out for anything. It never came out on any compilation. That was probably because the Willow license, and especially with Disney, no one's touching that with a 10-foot pole. Silkworm.
I've never heard of Silkworm.
American Sammy.
And Ninja Gaiden too. They still separate Gaiden, and that freaking annoys me.
Matt, look up when you got a sec. Look up the Willow Capcom arcade game. It's fantastic. JT says, "Yeah, I was gonna say the Willow arcade game is way different. Yeah, it's I don't know if it's better. I preferred it because if I was gonna play a game like this at the time, I was gonna play Zelda. This was
Mhm.
before Natopia was out on Turbo, so I was just like, and I was never really crazy on Willow. I don't know if you were really into it. It wasn't really my thing.
I like the movies and that new. Well, it's canceled now, but they had that series on Disney Plus that was all right.
It's canceled now.
Yeah, it got the X
Well, that sucks. I think
because
I
you
need
didn't
it.
watch it. Should have watched it.
No, I'm good. I don't need to do the $21 thing. Salmon Run employee, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. I'm out here catching Pokemon, and I just went from 65 Pokeballs to 13. That's a lot of Pokemon. That's a lot of Pokemon. Pokemon Go's awesome. I still think it's one of the top 10 best games of all time. I'll stick to that.
And
It's
so many people
incredible.
still play that Pokemon Go. You remember when that first came out and everybody was doing it?
2016, man. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I went
Um,
down, like we were walking downtown, like
yep.
we were just like catching Pokemon. We're like,
Those
what's up?
community days and the raids, we would go downtown to Victoria Park, and I loved it, man. It was so innovative.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's
yeah,
still lots of people that do it. Like, I guess there's still like regular parties and like people go out and do raid bosses and stuff. I'm like, that's so cool.
it is cool. Ninja Gaiden 2 is the next wave coming out. Oh, look at this.
Oh, look at that. Batman.
Nintendo Fever. Look at this.
Game
Look at this.
Mania. Oh, those are posters. Oh
Yeah,
man,
dude. And I remember these posters. I remember them. Oh my god, this is great.
that Dark Avenger one is sick. The last
Yeah.
one on the right, I like that.
The Joker one, they're all pretty great. But that Dark Avenger one, yeah, that's great. What's that? From the dark streets of Gotham to the deepest corners of the criminal underworld, the Cape Crusader is back. Oh, it's just what is that? 49. What
Hmm?
is that? $49. That first one, what is that? This one here.
That's the game? No.
No, I don't know what it is. This is the Genesis game was not even close to being out yet. And this is not the Nintendo one. I don't know what this is.
Is that like a 49.99? That's got to be the game, right?
Yeah, that might be
It
working
says
art for it.
Sunsoft at
Yeah.
the top. Yeah, it says Sunsoft. I think in the corner.
Oh, there you go. That's different art than what we got, but that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
they
cool.
definitely changed it. I don't know. That would have been a cool cover too, though.
Game Mania. Where are they now?
Calling that number, getting that poster.
Next wave for the Master System: Dynamite Ducks, Nightmare Basketball, and Captain Silver. I have Dynamite Ducks. The artwork on the box is cool. I've never really got into it. And these other two games I haven't played, so I can't really say. They don't look like anything super great.
No, I've never heard of them.
Game Mania continues. Going Nintendo wacky. The famous Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I want
Monster
to give a
Party.
shout out to James Rolfe for his video that he dropped this week, which is a revision of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Really?
It's so good, and there's so much awesome work. But it's a parody of The Exorcist,
Hmm.
and he goes back and plays Dr. Jekyll again. It's awesome.
I have to check that out. I do like his videos still.
JT says, I like the arcade version. Did you ever play Kadash? I played Kadash on the Turbo, but I don't think I ever played the arcade one. Kadash is great. That is a good game. If I played Scarlet or Violet, have you played any of those? Will I don't. No, I think I got Scarlet. I think
The last
year.
one I played was Pokemon Arceus, which I really, really liked, but I haven't played one since.
I briefly got. I only started game streaming last October. I remember I got the Pokemon, and I just barely scratched the surface, so I haven't been back to it, unfortunately. Didn't know there was a Police Academy game. Where'd you see that?
Street Cop?
Street Cop.
Oh no, at the bottom. Police Academy, yeah. It's a Tengen game.
I don't think that was ever released.
Well, let's look it up.
Look it up, buddy. I don't think that was ever released. Good eye. Good eye, Duke, sir. I didn't even see that. A Tengen game, so it was unlicensed. I don't remember ever seeing
Yeah,
that.
not released. No prototypes have surfaced.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Continuing
Well,
on, Game Mania's got 3 pages of advertisements in this. Let's really hope that what Bijou
issue?
is in here. Yeah, I'm hoping.
Iron Sword. Ooh, Rambo.
So Genesis, here we go. Rambo 3, Forgotten Worlds which was a great Capcom side-scrolling shooter. I can't say that. Super. So you say it. I can't say it.
How many times has it been now?
Hide lied.
You got it. There we go.
No,
Highlight.
it's called High Diddle.
Super high diddle. I hope that's like the title screen when it flies in. Super high
Hi diddly
diddle.
do. Salmon Run says my newest legendary is Zygarde in Pokemon Go.
Oh, nice.
Congratulations. That's great. I was honestly thinking about booting that up. I think it was this summer, but got sidetracked.
Our mutual friend Ryan still plays it.
Oh yeah.
He goes out regularly, yeah. And like he says his kid has like friends that still do it too, and they always like go out and just like go catch Pokemon. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Oh right. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't personally know any of my gamer friends that still play it. There was a time when we all did, and it got this resurgence. I think right before 2020, around 2019, 2018. I think we went out again. That game was so good though. Oh, Duke, so you're watching on TV, so you can see all the pictures. Gaming gossip with everyone's favorite Quarterman. We're just gonna read a bit of these. They're a bit wordy. Hot news from the rumor mill. After a bidding war that has lasted since the coin-op debut, undercover sources tell me that Williams' Super Coin-op Narc will appear on the NES. Rumors tell me it will be published by Acclaim. This is fantastic news for the New York-based license, who has struck gold this year with Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2, also known as the Fabio cover, and Double
I
Dragon
thought
2.
Iron Sword was bad.
It's a bad game, but it's developed by Rare, which no one
But
ever
they
talks about.
but they make it sound like it sold well.
It did sell well. It did
Really?
100%, but it sucks. It's terrible. I think it's terrible. I don't know. I know a few people who like it. I never liked the gameplay. Maybe it's one I need to go back to, but I'm good at the moment. Really interesting too that Narc was allowed to be put on the NES. It's very dumbed down. If you look at the box art for Narc, the arcade has, it says Narc and then there's blood spatter. The
Okay.
NES version, it's yellow paint, I believe. Even so, the fact that that game and the contents of that game, Nintendo even looked at it and said, yep, let's put that on the NES, is a miracle that ever happened. Matt Rubin, look up the box art for Iron Sword, which is Wizards and Warriors 2. And you'll see what we mean, buddy.
We talked. Was this 2 issues ago? We talked about. Was it?
Yeah, I think that was issue 2. I think, yeah. Grabbing up the rights to Narc would ensure Acclaim's leadership status through 1990. Way to go, guys! And other licensing news: Absolute has sourced to the idea of the Sega Master System adventure featuring James Bond. Working title was James Bond 007 Countdown to Meltdown. Oh well, there goes the hope of the shaken not stirred power up. Oh, you have seen it. Oh, sorry. Quarterman was just talking about how Acclaim is doing so well with Double Dragon 2 being out and Wizards and Warriors 2 selling so well.
What can we do here? Tengen struck out in the recent bid to maintain rights to their NES Tetris and Nintendo.
This is a good one.
There we go. Nintendo went directly to Elrog, the Russian Trade Commission, to obtain the rights to Tetris for their Game Boy handheld and cheerfully learned that the home video game rights had not been snapped up. With
Wow.
difficulty stirring up between Big N and Tengen at the time, the lawyers at Nintendo certainly saw this as an opportunity to slap Tengen in the face. If you can find the Tengen version, buy it. It is far superior to the upcoming authorized version from Nintendo. If you can't beat them, rip them off. Wow, that's harsh. Get set for a flurry of Tetris-like puzzle games to start invading arcades around the country. Taito is showing a new game called Plotting, and Konami has one called Kubrick. More are also rumored from other coin-up leaders.
That's great. Wow, what a good one to pick because we all know. I mean, that story is such a big part of video gaming history. I mean,
Well,
Apple made a movie about that.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, there's that movie, and I heard the movie's really good. I want to watch it. I just don't have
Yeah,
access to Apple.
same. That's great. That's so cool seeing this in a rumor. And again, one of the reasons I loved Quarterman's editorials every issue was because he had credible sources and it was pretty much always true. He didn't, even though it's called gossip, he didn't just peddle stories to sell issues, right? His stuff was very, very, I mean, for the most part, it came true.
Mhm.
What the hell is this?
It's a
Star
bootleg
Soldier. Oh,
xenomorph.
yeah, alien ripoff. Taxan, you should be ashamed of yourself. Behind the screens, look at those two bottom screenshots. Oof.
Those are the same ones from last time, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I say oof, but that's pretty much what it was like to play a Game Boy, man. That's what it looked like.
I love my Game Boy, but yeah, that was not easy.
Super Mario Land was not easy to play. Come Christmas, Game Boy is likely to be the hottest item around. For this month's Behind the Screens column, we interviewed leading industry executives and designers to get a better idea of the future of the Game Boy handheld games in general. Okay, we're not going to go through all this. Safe to say that the Game Boy's importance in video game history cannot be understated. As much as I personally am not a fan of portable systems, it's so cool to go back here and just kind of go through everything and see this is the beginning to see, the rights from Tetris being scooped up. And the fact that no one had the rights to Tetris
Mhm.
is insane to me. What was the stat? I think Tetris was for a long time the biggest selling game of all time because it
Yeah, I was
came
just
with the
gonna
Game
say
Boy.
that. Yeah, yeah. Now it's like usurped. Like it's Minecraft and GTA 5. I think are the top ones now.
Right. But Tetris 4, I mean, I think Wii Sports was up there too, if I'm not mistaken, for a
At one
long
point, it
time
did really well. Yeah,
because
Wii
it was a.
Sports single-handedly moved the Wii.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a revolution, um, which I was a big fan of because it brought so many people and it kind of closed the gap between your quote unquote average person and what a gamer was. It
Mhm.
kind of started to merge all that because I never liked the term gamer. I never really cared for it. It was just this kind of title that doesn't mean it. What does it mean? Who doesn't play games? Do you know what I mean? Like who doesn't play checkers or
Yeah,
video games or
like
some kind of sports game? Like
games
you
are
know what I
so
mean?
like vast nowadays, right? Like if you're playing a mobile game like Candy Crush, like you said, that's a video game. Like I don't understand how people don't understand that.
Sure is. Oh, is this it? Oh no, damn. So this is Joy Card SSS. I think we're gonna see this kind of stuff go away soon as we're getting actual publishers advertising. And I'm not making fun of this. Oh, I kind of am, but we talked about the poor kids that would have got this at Christmas instead of an actual like second controller. We know now that stuff like this was terrible, but going back then, you would have been happy to get something like this because it had the turbo features on it, right?
Mhm.
Playing Contra, what sucker has to keep pressing the B button over and over again? I just gotta hold it down.
Yeah, these controllers are great.
Matt Rubin, yeah, Wii Bowling. Ah, dude, so amazing. It was so
Baseball,
good.
like
Yeah, it was so
all
good.
those games on there were fun. Except for the boxing. I still say the boxing one's dumb.
All I remember really is the bowling. And it was just one of those things that you socially played with your friends when they came over. You went to their house. It was really a game that brought people back together again. I was a big
Mm.
fan of that for sure.
Yeah, it was just and then like Rock Band and stuff. Like that was the era where we were all hanging out playing video games together. I kind of missed it.
Yep. And it was, I mean, there were different games, right? So it wasn't mimicking the era of the 64, which were sit down games. This was like peripheral based games, but they were so fun, right? Like the karaoke games, the guitar games, Wii Sports. It wasn't like a traditional Mario Kart, but it
Mhm.
was still getting us all together in the same room.
Yeah, it was great.
What is this saying? 32-bit system preview. What is this? Fujitsu, the name Fujitsu may be unfamiliar, but the Japan computer superpower is the number one variety of PCs. Okay, I don't know what this. Do you know what this is? Anybody know what this is?
It's a weird disk
CD-ROM
drive on the front,
token
or whatever that
compatible
is.
with Microsoft DOS computer software and has a super fast 32-bit processor. Oh my god! It's the
Look at that
FM
R-Type
Town.
picture in the bottom, though. Like back in the day, if you saw a picture like that, like that's pretty good. You're like, holy shit, that looks
Agreed.
great.
Back in the day, seeing something like this would have been like, oh my god! Like if you had this, you were like from the future for sure. I can't say I know much about the FM Towns. There's the specs for it, and there's an R-Type showing off. It looks pretty damn cool. Bandai advertisement, Dr. Jekyll. There you go. Here's your PC Engine. International Outlook, which was mostly Japanese coverage. Take a closer look at the Japan's PC Engine and get a sneak peek of the potential TurboGrafx games of tomorrow. And we can see top and bottom, the PC Engine is quite a bit different looking than the TurboGrafx.
Hmm. I kind of like the modern day, like the turbo that we know.
Yeah.
I don't really like that style of the PC Engine.
Yeah, the TurboGrafx looks more like toyish, right?
Hmm.
Where this looks like a computer disk drive. Like it looks just like very, very utilitarian. It would just be like beside your adding machine. Do you know what I mean? Just another
Yeah.
peripheral. But the North American consoles I liked a lot more because they did look like toys a lot more. Especially if you get into like the Jaguar and the Jag CD. That thing looks like a GI Joe vehicle. JT says, had to look it up. It was a PC, but they made a console version. FM Towns Marty. For real. Wow. Thanks for doing
That's
that,
just an
dude. I never heard of that.
awful name. I'm gonna go downstairs and play my FM Towns Marty. Like that doesn't roll off the tongue. Who thought that was a
Yeah,
good
your
idea?
mom's like, he's got to get out and socialize. Like this is the beginning of the end. The FM Towns Marty. Wow, that's crazy, dude. Konix update. 16-bit system delays. A new console on the block, first previewed in EGM number 1 as the Slipstream, as well as the last issue. The Konix 16-bit multi-system has apparently got off to a shaky start in UK. This thing looks like a nightmare. What the hell is that?
That reminds me of like, you know, when you get the old like Sears catalog and you open up as a kid and you got like those the one I remember, it was a Top Gun little arcade thing that you would get, and it had like the steering wheel and like the shifter on the side. But really, it was just
Oh,
like a little graphic that moves side and back and forth when you turn the wheel. That's what this thing makes me think
yeah.
of.
It was like actual, like physical, translucent.
Yeah,
I don't want to say paper, but plastic that would just be on a roller,
yeah, exactly.
and you're
Yeah, you
just
remember
moving a
those things,
chip.
right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Man, such simpler times back then that used to amuse us. It used to make sounds and stuff. I remember getting one for Christmas and I loved it. And then when I got older, I'm like, I was such an idiot when I was a kid. This thing's stupid.
Matt says, was anyone else bugged by the differences between the same console in different countries? The Genesis Mega Drive. I didn't like the Mega Drive. Like I never sought out a Mega Drive for my collection because it looked just like the Genesis. I didn't like that.
Mhm.
I liked when they're different, like the PC Engine. Another great example of that is the Super Famicom and the Super Nintendo. Oh,
I like the Famicom edition better than the Super Nintendo.
yeah, and this is even different. This is a prototype version because the colors are
Just
there's four
orange?
different colors on the Super Famicom controller.
No.
For the buttons, yes, there is.
I thought they were just purple and gray.
For Super Nintendo, they are.
Oh, you mean for the Okay, yeah,
The
yeah,
Super
sorry.
Famicom is, and I think the buttons. I think Super Nintendo, there's two concave and two convex,
Yep.
and the Super Famicom, it's all convex or concave. I can't remember which one. Those were the two differences, and the color of the buttons. I remember this Super Mario World picture. I still remember this picture. This early concept of it. Just amazing. So cool.
It's crazy to think how like it's changed from that, right? Like it looks a lot more vibrant the end product in that picture.
Yeah, I mean that's again we talked about how they captured that image too, right? I mean that's a very that's probably almost pre-alpha. I would say that's an early build of Mario. The Genesis I got was a second version, but I didn't know back then. My Genesis was rounded and pretty, but the Master Drive looked like it was a piece of furniture. Yeah. Oh, the Master. You talking about the Master System? Or you're talking about the the Mega Drive, the first Genesis. It tried to look high tech, having that round top,
Mm.
because CDs were brand new at the time, right? And everyone thought that, oh wow, it's round. This thing must take CDs. Of course, it didn't.
I think I have all three versions around here somewhere. I was looking to see if they're easily accessible, but they're in a box somewhere, I think.
Yeah, the Genesis 3 is my favorite. That one's like tiny. I
Mhm.
liked how they did different versions over the years. And I know that's not what we're talking about, but
No, we talk about anything we want.
yeah, just moving the conversation ahead then. So the different versions, there's like the uh the PlayStation 1, and then there was the PlayStation 1,
Oh yeah, it's spelled
ONE,
out. Yeah, yeah.
the small white one. I loved that. Usually past the halfway life cycle of a console. I mean, what didn't PS5 just announced that? What, last
Mhm.
month or whatever? The Slim or whatever?
Yeah, that's been a running theme for all the consoles since,
Yeah,
right? Like
I think
we've
it's
had
cool.
new iterations of the 360. We didn't have it for the original Xbox, but or the
Right.
PS2, right? So it was really from like the 360 PS3 era on.
No,
We've had like
PS2 we
reiteration.
did. PS2 we got a Slim. We got a tiny one.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the top loader. That's
Yeah.
right. But the original Xbox was just
Xbox just never did it, and neither did GameCube. GameCube didn't
yeah.
do it either.
I forgot about that top loader one.
He has the Mega Drive, Matt, was the Japanese one. I thought the Mega Drive was a lot uglier than the Genesis, but the version 2 of Genesis is my favorite one. No, sorry, the third one is. The second one's great. The first one's clunky. The first one
Wait,
had
the first one has
the
that dial
headphone.
thing on it.
It's got
Yeah,
the
that thing.
headphone
Yeah.
jack, which is nice. It's a nice function to have, but you have this nice, like, circular CD-ROM looking top, and then you have just this it looked like a fader switch on like a board or something.
I don't know. I still like the first Genesis. I don't know. I love that it's so big and bulky and
It's from the future, man. It's from the future. Before there was the future, that was the future. The final system is shown. Design wise, sure. Color wise, no. That's cool though. Win. Enter to win a Game Boy. Everyone, let's do it. Look at these photocopied like screenshots. Dude, it's so crazy. Look at that. That's
yeah, you could definitely tell it was like photocopied because like the burnt like edges around like that middle one particularly.
that's I think that's just golf. The one on the left, I think, is Load Runner, and then Boxel is the one on the right. I'm just guessing. I think. Get the power to move. Oh no, the
That's a
acclaim.
wireless controller.
Acclaim wireless controller. Yeah, the thingy goes on the infrared sensor goes on the top of the NES. Eh,
But you
never
know what's
liked.
crazy about that is like we look at that and they think that's dumb, but then like that was how the Wii functioned.
Yeah, but
Because you
there's a
had to have that bar
difference.
on top, right? It's
There's
a
a
lot better.
there's a complete difference between Nintendo making hardware and Acclaim making hardware, right? So, I mean, we can even poke fun at Microsoft and Sony. I don't know how you feel. I think the Kinect always was garbage, although I liked the idea of it.
Mhm.
It worked terribly, and the Move was somewhere in between. The Move wasn't even close to the Wii, but I thought it was better than the Kinect in terms of functionality. But they
The
all
problem
suck
with both of them is
compared
they
to
just
Nintendo.
Nintendo was very simplistic, right? You hook it up, it works.
Yeah,
The move and the connect required a lot more intricacy to get it functioning properly, and like the mainstream consumer, as we've talked about, especially with like stuff like digitally right now, they don't want that. They just want easy access, right? The easiest, quickest way to be able to do something.
right. I would agree. And as much as I will never again slam any of these companies for trying something different, the Connect was a little more uh, ingenuitive than the Move was for Sony. But I remember the Connect, right? So remember the rules for it? Do you remember the rules? So to have this thing to work, had to be above or below your TV,
Yeah.
centered. You
Uh-huh.
had to be 6 feet away from the Connect camera,
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
and you had to have bright light. So you
Mhm.
couldn't play in the dark. So you had to have all these rules, which aren't that many, but those three things were pretty huge. Like you had to have a pretty good size space to play the Connect. Period. You could argue that with the Wii too, but the Connect was crazy for that stuff.
Yeah, and like the biggest thing with that, like that 6 foot rule, like not many people have that 6 feet to move everything around in, right? And that
Yep.
was the issue with like early VR stuff before everything just went like wireless.
Yeah.
Is like you had to have like a 6x6 or an 8x8 minimum space to actually work with the VR. I'm like, who the fuck has that extra room in their house just to set that up?
Right. Right. We were both still at EB Games, and I remember we got the managers got the free Connect from Microsoft or whatever. I remember bringing it home, hooking it up, and playing. What was the game? What was the game that came with it? Connect Adventures. Remember we had a trillion of those traded in. Remember that?
Mhm.
Connect Adventures, and you're in the rafting part of the game, and you had to physically jump. I remember I pulled something. I remember that I pulled something, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then the thing would randomly take photos of you midair and stuff like that. I'm like, "This is embarrassing." Even like the Star Wars game that came out, which is notoriously terrible. I never played it. After Connect,
Is it the dancing one?
yeah,
Han Solo?
in
I'm Solo?
Lando, they're like dancing.
Han
These are
Solo?
still better than the Ahsoka show, buddy. Let's say that right now.
You take that back. No, we're
Better
not
than
getting into this.
Boba Sherg as well.
I'll give it that.
Oh, there's the Hulkster. There's the Hulkster.
Is Hulk still alive?
Yes, he is. Of course he is. There's no match for WWF WrestleMania. This game was okay. There definitely was better versions of wrestling that came out. Othello, to me, this was an old man's game. I'm not insulting anybody. I'm just saying for me, I looked at Othello. I was like, I don't want to play this. I don't care what
I've
this
never
is.
understood Othello.
Yeah. There you go. We're just too stupid to understand it.
Very
Easy.
true. It's kind of like Chinese checkers. I was like, I don't get this. There's too many boards. I don't know what's going on.
Right, right. What's Matt saying? Matt saying that take his garbage day. Ahsoka isn't the greatest show, but it was better than Star Wars Dancing Game. That's fair.
Yeah, Jay.
That's fair. That's fair. I want to be in charge of Star Wars one day, and then I could just take all my favorite novels that I read when I was a kid and interject my creations into them. That's writing, right? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be here all day. Thank you very much. Star Wars as Dave Filoni knows it. Okay, I gotta calm down. We can't do this again. You were in New York, and that's fine. I wanted you on that show so bad, dude, because I think you would have been the only one that was like defending. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it.
Hey, look,
I would have been the only one upholding the love of Star Wars anymore. It's okay.
yeah, you have the torch, and hey, that's your business. Super Dodgeball, we love it. One of the best games ever.
Here we go.
Your adventure in the haunted ruins. This is the award-winning game of the month. Ghouls and Ghosts by Capcom, the sequel to Ghosts and Goblins.
Such a good game.
Yeah, this game boasts 5 meg, which is pretty big at the time. I think Phantasy Star was 6. Phantasy Star 2 is 6, I think. So this pretty big deal, man. Came out in October 1989. Wait, what's this award? What is this? Player seals of approval. The U.S. National Video Game Team has endorsed this product in recognition of its superior play value. Wow. Did you know? I didn't even know. There you go.
They didn't have that last time, so is that something new?
I guess.
At least maybe we didn't notice it.
They just made this up, man. Just making up their own awards. They're like, hey, we're making this up as we go. Oh, here you go, buddy. Maps for you.
I still want to get like a map and just like have it on the back wall somewhere. Even though I got a whole bunch of junk back here, I just like to have something hung up on the walls, like I don't know, something.
It wouldn't it be cool, right? Okay, so look at the second part of level 1 here, the bottom map. And they did a great job, by the way. I think that looks awesome. They cut it out and pasted it together. I think it's awesome. But you have that, say, like, I don't know, you can't see the sidewall. You know the wall with the arcades, which is right here.
Yeah.
Just having that in the background, you can still have stuff covering it.
Yeah.
But just that would be the mural. Or like I always wanted like the Donkey Kong girders, like level 1.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be sick too, right? Ghouls and Ghosts is awesome. This game is like second to none. This goes toe to toe later on with TurboGrafx system seller, which was Legendary Axe. It's so great.
Scott says, for a copy of that while I was in New York.
Everyone should project a map on their wall. Yeah, that would be awesome. You don't really need it for side scrollers, but I remember, like I said back in the day, ripping these magazines apart gently. And not so much put the maps, but I'd have advertisements covering every section of my wall in my bedroom. Sorry, you said you tried to find Legendary Axe?
Yeah. I went to a couple of retro stores in New York when I was there. There was a copy of Air Zonk still like in like the case and everything.
What was that going for? US?
It was like $249 US. I was like, I can't. Conversion on that's over $300. I'm like, that's too much.
Air Zonk is friggin' awesome. It is, man. It's one of the best games on the system, but that's a lot of. Did it have the cardboard box or was it just the jewel case?
Just the jewel case.
Yeah, that's crazy. Beware of the wizard.
That's retro right now, right? Like, shit's expensive.
Dude. Yeah, it is 100%. Look for traps. Look for the exciting ending of Ghouls and Ghosts in the next issue of EGM. We can look forward to that. Ghouls and Ghosts is very famous for having to go through it twice. You get to the end, and it's kind of like your princess is in another castle, but way worse because you just have to do it again. Except I think there's a little bit, the enemies are a bit faster, and there's a few more on screen, but it's pretty tough. That's expensive. I can buy a decent video card on my PC with that amount.
Yeah, that's almost the same price as like a 4060 right now. I heard it's getting down there in price. Like you get a decent 4060 for almost the price of that Airzone card.
Zelda Overworld would be another great mural. I totally agree. That would be the Zelda 2 Overworld map would be awesome too. For me,
you're still you're a Zelda 2 man. I know, I get you.
I know. I just had to throw my hipster pick out there. Or even better, the map for Wanda Gamelon. Oh, dude.
I'm out. No, shut it down. Gone too far.
Trade. We're gonna go through.
You're a madman.
Skip some of these. High Diddle, Mylon Secret Castle, Cyborg Strider. Do we miss tricks? Do we miss this kind of stuff?
I don't think it's gone anywhere. Like, it's just different now, right? Like, you want that stuff, you look it up on YouTube about like secrets to find in games or Easter eggs, right? But it's not like
Yeah,
little starter
yeah.
updates.
And we're not talking about, let's just use Majora's Mask. We're not talking about like a speedrun glitch through a wall to get to
Mhm,
the last level in 5 minutes. We're talking about tricks that were built in by the actual developer.
mhm.
But you got like some of these, dude. How would you ever find, like, look at these codes. Just this for an example. How would you ever guess this?
My assumption is that they were never guessed. They were just given to publications like this and be like, hey, like, leak out a few of these, slowly over time and people
Yeah,
will eventually get it. This is
right.
a little publication thing. Get it out there.
The Konami code. I mean, that's that's practically like holy script. Yep.
Yeah,
I
see,
mean, that is the
what Scott
code.
says.
Here's another one of those great stores. Oh yeah, we always pick. This is the same one as
Yeah,
before.
great.
Yeah, these hats are great.
So good.
Scott says, yeah, they were intended to be leaked.
Yeah, it was all
Uh,
planned out.
Look at this. You can order right now the Sega 16-bit Genesis at the Toy Club.
199.
Yeah, there's those statues again, the bottom left, those Mario. And look at the punch out ones, dude. And I think that's Zelda on the top. That's these
Yeah.
ones here.
Yeah, that's the one you showed last time, right?
Yeah, these ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great. That also that Play Choice 10 arcade system right here.
Oh yeah, we talked about it last time too. It's just that you just put a TV in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even just to have, it's just wood, right?
Yeah.
But even just to have that, like, we're so fortunate now that One Up has made those beautiful arcade cabinets.
Yeah, I love them.
It's
They're just
just
too expensive now.
they're expensive now.
They were great
But I
when they're like
mean,
when they first came out.
it's like what are they going for now?
Uh, let me
Canadian.
see. So the newer ones they've been bringing out. I'm just doing a quick Google because I'm not going to go too far into it. But like this Terminator one is 849.
Well, that has the guns, right? That might be why.
Yes. Star Wars one 700. So when I bought mine, they were about 399 to 499, and all of them
Right.
universally, just from the looks of this, they look like they've gone up at least $200 each.
And then you're almost getting into actual arcade cab territory, which is a beast that I've never been able to be an arcade collector. I have one.
I've
You
wanted
guys
to be
know it.
one, but
Yeah, I talked about the a buddy of ours a few years ago knew a guy who had Choplifter by Sega
mm,
for $200 because he wanted to get rid of it. I bought it for the novelty of just having one in the house, but I've never
moving
been
that
able to
thing
get
sucked.
like Donkey Kong or Street Fighter, something like really great, right? I've never been able to do that. Matt, that is the first version of the Genesis.
Yeah, that's the one I like.
Yeah. Genesis 2. Well, it's way over there. Yeah, it's way over there. Okay. I'm not prepared to get up. Let's move on. Top secret. We're still going on some tricks and tips. Oh, look at the coolest kid ever. Or the most beat up kid ever. I mean, you decide. I think he's the
I don't know.
beat
That
up
sweater's
kid.
cool. If you're watching this kid, you were cool back then.
Oh, here's your POW Prisoners of War strategy guide. So great, man. Just the level of dedication with this magazine still floors me. Just to deep dive into this game so heavily, you're making maps and strats for every boss, dude. Like, this would have been my dream job.
Yeah,
Still would
like
be.
they
Like,
definitely like show that they loved video games, right?
yeah, it's so great. The cinematics for each of the levels here, the waterfall level, the bosses, the final battles would be But to begin,
How would you do that today, do you think? Like, obviously, there's games that you could do it for. Like, example, just because like it's newer and on my head, like you could make maps like this for Mario Wonder,
I was just gonna say,
right? But like, what
yeah.
other games would you be able to do something like this for?
Any side scroll, like if back in the day we used to love a game called Super Meat Boy, you could easily do something like that for any of those side scrollers that
Hmm.
technically just scroll over any of that stuff. But
Yeah, but most
Matt,
modern games, like, yeah, I don't know.
what has wood paneling? The Fairchild Channel F has wood paneling.
The
The
Atari,
original Atari 2600 has wood paneling. No Sega system has wood paneling. Yeah.
ColecoVision, Coleco have
I don't
paneling
have a
on it.
Coleco. I have Intellivision. And
Oh, is
television
it?
has wood. Yep.
Oh, maybe it's the Intellivision I'm thinking of.
I have the Fairchild, the Atari, and the Intellivision. Those have wood. I don't know if the Coleco does. I think the Coleco's just black. Scott says, I keep considering buying a Daytona USA that has been at Gibraltar for years.
Oh, I've walked by that many times, and I've thought the same thing. I had many amazing days with the 4-player setup at it was at Ace's Arcade back in the day.
Yep.
Used to go on like my high school break. We'd walk down and we'd just like race until like break was over and then head back. Ah, so good.
That one at Gibraltar. You're talking about the one in London, Scott.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I remember that one being there like 15, 20 years ago. Well,
Because
15 years ago.
it's broken and the buddy doesn't want to like give anything reasonable for it. That's why.
Oh my God. Scott said, yeah. Wow. Wow. I didn't know you're in London, so that's cool, dude. We're in London. Sick. Um,
Oh,
that
way to
one's
dox
still
us,
there.
God.
Dude, like I remember walking by it, and yeah, and like Scott just said, it's always off, right?
Yeah.
And he won't budge on the price, which is crazy. So getting into arcade video game collecting as a hobby, I only know two guys that do it. And I remember them just saying the maintenance that you need to put into these systems is like it's on another level.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So that's something also that's kind of deterred me. But I don't know. Let's put this. I'm going to throw this out into the chat right now. And to Willie, if you could have one original arcade system in your house, full graphics, brand new, like it came off the conveyor belt, which game would you pick? Throw
Marvel
that to
vs.
everyone
Capcom
out
2.
there, and I throw it out to you, Will.
That's a quick one for me. Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Wow. Just like that.
Yep. Next up to that, because I have thought about this. I have my top 3. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Second one would be Silent Scope. And then the third
Silent
one,
Scope, really?
oh man, I love Silent Scope.
Real? That's the underwater sub one, right?
No, Silent Scope is the sniper one that you look through the actual lens and it would have zoomed up versions and you're moving around and like shooting people.
Oh,
It,
wow.
oh man, Silent Scope was so good.
Okay.
And then my other one was actually it's just a stupid one. Like I love Daytona, but Puzzle Fighter. Super Puzzle Fighter
Yeah, I
is
do. The Street Fighter guys, yeah.
yeah, I freaking love that game.
Wow, those are 3 good ones. TJ says, did either of you play GTI Club in the arcade?
Can't say I have.
What's that stand for, dude? It doesn't ring a bell with
GTI,
me.
Gran Turismo International Club. I don't know.
Scott says he fixed his retro systems today. I'm going to fix a claw machine. Dude, that's
Oh,
so
cool.
cool. So cool to know. So Matt says I would pick either Silent Scope. Oh, 6-player X-Men. Oh.
Oh, that's with the dual monitor, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be heavy as hell.
JT
Like
says
your choplifter
crossbow.
was a pain in the ass to move on its own, but could you remember try to move that one like with the 2 freaking huge CRT monitors in it?
Okay, well, let me throw it to you this way. In a regular house, okay,
Yeah.
how would you get it through any door?
I don't know.
You could it would have to go in your garage if you had one. How would you get that through your unless the X-Men unit somehow detaches and then you put it together because there's two monitors, but I don't think it does.
It all looked like one piece. It never looked like it
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I don't know.
How would you ever get that in your house?
That'd be cool as hell, though.
I'm still gonna say Donkey Kong with original
Yeah.
graphics on the sides, the blue cabinet that were the radar scopes. I would still say that's still my pick. I would still want that one.
Our old buddy Mike had one of those.
Yes. Yep. Matt says it can be disassembled and reassembled. There you go.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Though, like, I never ever saw them. Well, maybe they have back doors. I don't know. Like, I've seen them at here in town. Like, we had Wizards, Aces, and they never had like really big entryways. So I guess it makes sense that they had to be like broken down and reassembled. Especially like those big ones like Virtual On. You remember that?
Virtual
On.
No.
It was a mech game, and it had like the two sticks, and you'd be like,
Oh
back and
wow,
forth.
okay.
But it was huge. But like, how would I guess it would have to come apart and then like put back together to get into these buildings. Even Daytona, right?
Oh, that's a killer Nintendo hoodie. I just noticed that. That's awesome.
Thank you. I bought that at the Nintendo.
Where did you get that?
Oh yeah, Nintendo in New York, because I'm fancy.
I have a Nintendo New York shirt too. And it's elite status, baby. You had to go to the Nintendo store to get that.
Yeah, I think on the back it says like it has like the Nintendo seal on the back.
Oh, that's wicked. Yeah. I'm not even gonna ask how much that was. I can only imagine, but well worth it. Like when do you ever go there, right? Like
yeah, I figured like I'm in New York. Like, how many Nintendo stores are there in the world? I think there's like 3, right, or something like that. 4, maybe. I don't think
yeah, I
there's
don't
many
know.
here in like the U.S. I think the New York one is the only one. I know of like there's one in Tokyo and Kyoto, Japan. I'm sure there's probably one in the UK somewhere. I would assume, right? But
there has to be. GTI stands for Grand Tour Injection. An arcade game is 4 players and had a handbrake for sharp returns.
oh, that sounds pretty cool.
Made by Konami. Nope, I never heard of it. Can you? I'm sure you can emulate it, right? Sure, there's an emulation for it out there somewhere.
What about Pod Racer?
That was a good one, man. I was just gonna say that in Cruising USA. Remember, you could have like 4 cruising.
I just like the Pod Racer one because you had like it had the 2 handles on the side, right? Like you were actually like pod racing. I'm like, oh man, that
yeah,
game's so
it's
good.
a boost. Remember, you go like Anakin does. Like you'd put them forward.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
too bad the N64 game is not very good, but
it is good. You suck. Nintendo ignores 16-bit in 1989, so we're still in 89. Nintendo still swears that 8-bit is the way to go, and the portable gaming is the future, which is hilarious because we have publications like this saying that Nintendo of Japan is making the Super Nintendo. That's still funny. Super high diddle. There you go.
Wait, was that super or regular?
Oh, it's just high diddle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Super Highlight's not out yet on Genesis.
Yeah, that's coming.
What is this? We just saw this. What is this?
So I feel like every edition we've showcased so far has talked about Bad Dudes. Am I wrong in thinking Bad Dudes was bad?
No, it is bad. Back then, I rented it, and I remember like this sucks. I didn't like it. I just never liked it. Right? It was just very like very boring. But this has been reviewed, and then I guess there's a like extended look at it. Oh yeah, definitely. There you go. There's one.
There's a good beat 'em up. This is what I'm about. Good old River City Ransom.
Save your girl and make the bad guys pay in River City Ransom. Yeah, this was a good one. Really interesting design choice for the characters. Instead of how do we say this? They're like they're stumpy. They don't look like they would have a lot of reach, but somehow this design choice really works.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure this would be like coincide with the idea of like they call it chibi, which is like a Japanese squished down character that's like cutesy. Right. I think that's what this would be.
The mean streets, stop and shop. Yeah, you could buy stuff, upgrade your character, buy weapons, and it was all like dollars, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you level up, you get stronger. Man, that game's so good.
Hopefully they review it next issue. I think this is them taking deep dives, and then next issue they will probably review some of these. Take command of Twin Cobra. I mean, I'm good.
Eh.
Ultima. Now we're into Sega territory. Fantasy Star, Ultima. I don't remember playing Ultima on Master System. Miracle Warriors. Another one I don't remember. I'm with you that I really love the Master System as an adult gamer, but
Mhm.
back in the day, you could have one or the other. It was a Nintendo or a Master System. I only knew one kid who had a Master. Everyone else had Nintendo, so I didn't play most of these.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't really until like the Genesis when like Sega started making impact on like Nintendo's market share, right?
Yeah, and then you could kind of convince your parents, oh no, mom, this is different because the graphics are better. It's more realistic, and that's the goal of games is to get to realism, right? So
Hmm.
this is different. Whereas Sega and Nintendo, they look the same, and it was just like, well, one's just lesser known, but this one has different games. Parents didn't care or understand back then. There's a dead angle. I thought that's a dead angel. Oh, this is like a
It's just a shoot 'em up, right? Like a
Operation Wolf kind of
yeah.
perspective. Yeah. Thanks, TJ. I'll check it out. He says that's an arcade. There's an arcade perfect port that was released for PS3. The tracks had lots of shortcuts to make your own route. Oh man,
Hmm.
it's not a rally game, is it?
The last racing game I really got into was probably Gran Turismo 3. Yeah, 1 and 2 were on PlayStation 1, and then 3 was the first one on PS2. And I played the hell out of that game.
Yeah, it's funny you say that too because I'm not a car guy. I also bought it, and I remember you picked I picked like a Ford Focus or whatever your starting car was, and I remember that.
Yeah.
Remember the first track's just a circle.
Yep.
Doing that like 20 times, just that's all you could do because you just had to get money.
Yeah.
Doing that over and over and again. I'm like, now I get it, but back then I'm like, this is so dumb. Like, why would I want to keep doing the same thing over and over again? But I get
Mm.
it. If you're a supercar enthusiast, right? That's your thing. I get it.
Yeah, my dad and I used to we had a wheel set up. He had it like mounted onto like a thing we pull up to the couch, and we would do like the 300 lap ones, and we'd like tag each
Oh,
other out. Go as
dude.
long as you keep going, and then be like, all right, I need a break, and then like step in to do it because those would be the ones that were the most lucrative.
See, that's cool. That's a great story.
Yeah. Oh, we used to do. I also had the Dreamcast. Dreamcast was the best for peripherals because like the Sega Bass Fishing on Dreamcast,
Yeah.
so freaking good. And we used to have my brothers, my dad, and I would have a hat. We put it down, and everybody put some money into it as a pool, and whoever caught the biggest fish won the pool and the hat, right? Like
Yeah, that was great. And Seaman was another crazy peripheral, but you know what? It worked. The
that game
fact
though.
that it worked, it was insane. But I agree, the Dreamcast had some great stuff. I remember Time Cop
Mhm.
and oh what?
And
No,
the
no, no. Was it Time Cop? What was the Sega
Time Crisis,
Time? No,
the light gun. What
oh,
are you talking
Time
about?
Crisis was Namco, but Sega had their own Virtual
Yeah.
Cop. Virtual Cop.
Oh yeah. I never
Yeah,
liked Virtual Cop compared to. I always thought Time Crisis was the better of the
but
two.
the light guns worked. They were perfect. They
Yeah.
worked exactly well. Everything on Dreamcast was solid. Brandon says I like American Trucking Simulator. There was that the one on Dreamcast? There was one of those that I played too that I actually quite enjoyed. It was very relaxing. And you drive it like from don't you go like east to west coast? You go from like New York to California.
Mm.
I'm asking because I don't know.
I've yeah. I've watched some people do play that like stream that. I kind of want to get like a steering wheel and like get a trucker hat and just have like a stream where I'm just driving across America. I don't
Oh,
know.
Brandon says PC. That makes sense. Do you remember uh James the Angry Video Game Nerd did he made a video like a decade or so ago about you remember the game called Desert Bus?
Yeah,
It was part of the Penn and Teller collection, which
that's
was a
right.
bunch of
Yeah.
mini games for the Sega CD that never was released. The Desert Bus was one of the games on that, and it was basically you're a bus driver and you just drive straight. This
Yeah,
is all the game was.
was it Vegas? You drive to Vegas?
I think so, but there was no end and there was no veering. You just had to drive straight. I wanted to play that so badly just to see how long you could endure it. Like you were saying with your dad, you guys doing like 3-4 hours just going in a circle. I would love to play that desert bus game and just to see how long you could take it before you crack. Speaking of that,
I think there's actually speed runs of that.
when are you gonna, when are you gonna,
I already
when are you
threw mine
gonna,
out. I just threw it in the garbage.
when are you gonna? I gotta watch that, dude. I gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's coming. Don't worry. I'm trying to this week. I get messed up because like I had to do a bunch of trades so I can go to New York. So then like this week I'm working all week and through the weekend. So after that I'll get my stream schedule back up and going, and the King
That's fair.
Kong will be on there.
Dreamcast said 18 wheeler Pro Trucker. Yes.
Oh right,
That was
yeah.
that was more arcadey. I don't want to say it was like Crazy Taxi, but it was like you would go from like New York to Florida and it would be like 2 or 3 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's one, I think the one Brandon's talking about, it was pretty close to like real time. One of those was just, I remember it was really relaxing.
Yeah, there's one that I've seen people play where you actually like you have to back it up and like load the trailer up, and you hit cars, you take damage, and it comes off of like the cost of like shipping and stuff. And
did you know that there's a game called Lawnmower Simulator?
It's actually pretty good.
You've played this?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass.
What? Hang on, I gotta download. I didn't even know it was on Xbox. That's crazy.
Praise be to Game Pass.
It's called Gamer Pass, actually, by the way. Atari Adventure. We got how do we say it? Xenophobia?
Xenophobes.
Xenophobes for the Lynx. This is the first version of Lynx. We got Gauntlet, which was also really great on the Lynx. The Turbo Champ. TurboGrafx games coming out. Pac-Land, which is on that Pac-Man cabinet back there, actually, which is I don't want to say their attempt to make Pac-Man a character, because he was throughout the 80s, he was the first mascot actually to have all the merchandise and all that stuff. So this was just kind of Namco going like, hey, we can make a Mario game too. Wrong.
Are Pac-Man arcade systems the same? Yours?
For whatever reason, okay, mine doesn't have Ms. Pac-Man on it.
Oh, see, mine, I don't know if you can see on the side, but mine has like the wood paneling.
Oh yeah, yours is way better. Yeah, I have the yellow. Obviously, you can see that, but yeah. Yeah, yours.
I was just looking at that. I was like, "What? Mine has wood paneling on the side."
Does yours have Pac-Land on it?
Yeah.
Like, how many games does yours have on
it? 7.
Yeah, mine has like 10, I think. So yours is the older one, which is the better one. I think you also have the better Street Fighter because yours has Champion Edition, right, Marquis?
Yep.
Yeah, mine just has World Warrior, which is still cool, but I think you're better than me. I get it.
Well, look at all the other stuff in your house. I gotta have a one-up on something. Jeez.
Give me a break. My son likes something called Wallpaper Simulator. No idea what the game is about. I'm hoping that's a joke.
Wallpaper Simulator? I don't. There's a lot of simulator games that
That'd
are
be a
just like
joke.
they really go out there. Like
I'm
there's
guessing it's a joke.
an electrician simulator. There's House Flipper where you actually like you paint the walls and stuff like that, and you could put up wallpaper.
I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. These great turbo games. So this one here, I can't remember the Japanese show, but the North American version got turned into a game called JJ and Jeff. This was the Japanese, the two Japanese gentlemen. I can't remember. I'm sure
I have the cart for that, and I don't understand the game at all.
It's based on I think it was a Japanese comedy variety show, which the jokes in it, like the farting gags and stuff, it's very of that show. That's why it doesn't make a lot of sense to us, right? But I wish they would have just left the two Japanese gentlemen, but they didn't. And they renamed it JJ and Jeff. So what is it here? Dungeon Explorer, China Warrior, Power Golf, R-Type. Yeah, it doesn't even say what it
I
is.
was looking for the name. I don't see it.
Yeah. But what's this in the top right? Look at that.
Street Fighter?
The
Yep, Street
only
Fighter.
home port of Street Fighter 1. Also named Fighting Street for some weird reason. Dungeon Explorer, In Depths, Blazing Lasers. You and I both love that game.
I still have that cart. I have the case and everything for it.
So good. Best shooter ever.
Actually,
In
I
my
think you bought
opinion.
me that.
Did I?
Mhm.
Nice.
I appreciate you.
Cheers, buddy. Outpost Genesis. It's still not out yet. The Power Base Converter. I have that. Yep. So that was so you could play Master System games. So the Genesis was technically backwards compatible. So see right here, there's the card
Oh,
slot for Master System, then there's the cartridge slot.
wait a minute. So when they told the guy no, can they just mention this last time? That's what he was asking him when he asked if it's backwards compatible, right?
Well, this is coming soon, right? So
Oh,
they might have wrote back to him before. um,
yeah. I guess they would have done this like weeks ahead, so maybe
yeah,
they got this. Yeah, okay.
this is really cool too here. So we have Altered Beast, and I also remember these side by side comparisons. So Master System versus Genesis, like, dude, crazy. Like you don't even get backgrounds in the Master System. I mean, they did what they could, but
Mhm.
it's hilarious for Nintendo to say, "Oh, 16-bit is not the future." Are you nuts?
Well, it's all marketing, right? They wanted to hold their lot and make sure that people were like, oh, stay over here, because there's people who just be like, yeah, Nintendo says this, whatever.
Thunder Force 2. Again, I want to try that again. Game Boy Club, what's coming out? There's your baseball right there. The system link, so you can play 2 players. This was revolutionary at the time. Absolutely insane that you could play 2 players. You're tethered with somebody, but that's besides the point. Alleyway, which is essentially Breakout. Boxel, which is what Shove It on Genesis. I think it was the same thing.
Shove it.
Shove It. Yeah, it's like you're a warehouse guy. Like the end of Raiders, you're just putting wood crates away. It's like a puzzle
Huh.
game.
Never heard of that.
And then we have Lynx,
Well,
California Games, Electro Cop, and Rampage right there. It's
is
pretty
that the
good.
surfing monkey? Is that what that is? It's so dark.
No, that's TNC Surf Design.
Oh, right.
This is Lynx California Games. Is that dark? Yeah, it is really dark. Hard to see. Top scores. Again, you too can have a top score. All you got to do is nothing. Just say, oh, Double Dragon. Yeah. So this guy got 120,000. I got 129,000. Put it in as of June 1st, 89.
Ghouls and Ghosts just came out. High score. Ruston.
Our
Okay.
game over screen, which is a feature I think they started last issue. This is ending screens of games, which I love. Gyrus, Guerrilla War, and Super Mario 2. Who can forget that defeating defeating Wart meant nothing because it was all a dream anyway.
I was so upset as a kid when I beat Mario 2. Like, it was so climactic. You're up there, you're fighting Wart, and then all of a sudden, like, Mario's just like dreaming about it, and you're like, fuck off.
Yeah,
I know I
you're like,
swore on your stream, but that's
it's
that's
fine.
that's how I feel about it.
It was ridiculous. And also why I believe that Nintendo, for the most part, still refuses to go back and add these characters. I know they're from Doki Doki Panic. I understand that whole story, but I would love to see Wart again. Why? Like Wart and Mouser was such a great boss.
But it was all just a dream.
The three-headed dragon. Yeah, but dude, we saw in Mario Wonder here that they made a whole new kingdom and all new enemies and stuff like that. They could bring back Wart again. Come on, I need Wart.
I feel
I
like
need.
Mouser was in one of the Game Boy games.
Was he? They brought him back.
I can't say 100% for sure, but I feel like I remember him in one of the Game Boy Mario games.
Interesting. That was Electronic Gaming Monthly issue number 4. That was great.
Woo!
I love going through that and these discussions come up. We just
They're
go
fun.
where we go. Chat, you guys have been wonderful. I'm out of coffee. Will, why don't you tell the fine people in the chat where they can find you?
You can find me over here on YouTube and on Twitch, both under Willie Low. Now that they've dropped the multi-platform streaming stuff, I'm not differentiating the streams, so I'll be streaming pretty much every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, I got a whole bunch of like stuff coming as well.
That's great.
But yeah, we're gonna be playing some Lies of P today.
Oh, what time too?
Yep.
Awesome. Same deal. I'm back on Twitch as well as YouTube, so you can find me on Twitch at jbartlett75. And YouTube, you guys know where to find me Thursday through Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. with whole lots of fun. Guys, thanks for joining us on a Sunday morning. Make sure you enjoy your day and check out Willie at 2. We'll see you guys soon. Cheers.